in the faith community. From the beginning of time in history of moral wisdom, whether found in the scripture, whether found in philosophy or in conscience, has affirmed that we are each other's keepers. We've been called today for such a time as this. People are hungry. People are having to choose between taking care of the needs of their family and the response to a nation that has gone awry and have forgotten the needs by which we stand in liberty and justice for all. To care for those less fortunate is to affirm that every human life carries a sacred worth. The hungry, the sick, the brokenhearted, none of them stand apart from us. Their path reminds us of how fragile life can be and how deeply interwoven our lives truly are. When one suffers, we all suffer. I find myself tossing and turning in this season as I watch the news and I watch our leaders forget about this path to poverty. We've all come from some place, some community, some family who stood with us, who encouraged us when we were weak. And I say to the faith-based community here in El Paso that we seek opportunities to be a part of the solution by working with our food bank, our civic and social leaders to sound the alarm of the sense of urgency for this time. For such a time as this, we've been called to be once again the light of the world in a city that sits upon a hill that cannot be hid. I implore you that you be real in your quest to make a difference and to leave a legacy of hope as we continue to journey forward. Thank you so much.
Well, before I continue, my name is Timothy Perea. I pastor New Life Faith Center, and I want to congratulate our leaders behind us, institutions created by God for the purpose of humankind. And today, I don't come as a pastor, I don't come as a faith leader, but as I come as an El Pasoan, a native here from El Paso. And I had just one word from the community faith to all the public and to everyone that's going to hear is that you are not alone. The faith community will rise up. So I'm asking every leader, every church that has the possibility, the willingness to preach the full gospel. And I want to make an emphasis. The full gospel is not only a spiritual aspect, but a physical. And all the particular leaders that came before I are calling out to the church. So rise up, church, and let's make this call. So, El Paso, you are not alone. Lo voy a decir en español. A toda la comunidad de fe, quiero primeramente darle gracias a nuestros líderes que se han levantado en frente de esta crisis que estamos enfrentando. Y hoy me presento no como pastor o comunidad de fe, líder, pero como alguien del Paso que nació aquí. Y quiero provocar a mis hermanos que tienen comunidad de fe, que tienen iglesia. Es tiempo de predicar el evangelio completo, que no únicamente es el aspecto espiritual, sino el aspecto físico. Y una cosa sí quiero dar como mensaje a toda nuestra comunidad, de que no están solos. Este equipo, con las instituciones que están aquí presentes, vamos a responder a la causa en unidad, porque en la unidad es donde nace la fuerza. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Those are incredibly powerful words, and I want to thank our faith leaders and the incredible community of churches, synagogues, and other faith-based organizations that help lead this community, especially in some of our darkest moments. We are here at the Catholic Diocese, and I want to publicly thank Bishop Seitz for giving us this space and his team for together in unity to talk about how we can help the El Paso community. Before I introduce the mayor and the county commissioner, I think it's really important for the community to understand the current lapse in funding for SNAP is a political decision that was made by the White House. There is contingency funding that has been available so that there would not be a lapse in funding. We called on the White House to not allow the lapse in funding to take place, but it took lawsuits and it took a court to instruct the White House to follow the law. And we continue to call on the White House to allow for the full amount of SNAP benefits to be provided to communities. And I would urge Governor Greg Abbott to do what other states have done, which is fill in the gap while the court order is fulfilled by the Trump administration. It's important for me to sound the alarm about what will be happening next year. The lapse in funding that's happening right now will be resolved. The courts have ruled, the government will reopen at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. However, a year from now, our community and millions of Americans will have to deal with this crisis. Crisis will be the result of the administration's One Big Beautiful Bill, which permanently cuts SNAP funding by $187 billion. In addition to those massive cuts in the bill that we are going to have to deal with a year from now, there are also added requirements that effectively will create significant barriers for people to get onto SNAP in the first place. So it will be even harder in the future for people to access the very limited funds. Additionally, what that bill does is it puts some of the burden on the states. So if a state refuses to pick up the slack, that in effect represents an additional cut on top of the $187 billion. We will not know for some time what the state of Texas will choose to do. It will be up to the state legislature. It will be up to the governor, the lieutenant governor. But as a community, we have to recognize what is a ticking time bomb in the future for this community. If we are in a moment of crisis right now, which is, again, temporary and self-inflicted, the true and more significant crisis lies ahead. And as a community, we will have significant work to do to face that crisis. It's not just a loss of food on the tables of hungry people, but for every dollar spent on SNAP by the federal government, we see a return in economic activity of $1.50. That means it helps fuel grocery stores. It helps fuel agriculture. This is federal funding that will cause, the loss of which next year will cause a ripple effect of pain throughout the community and throughout the country. I now want to turn it over to our leader at the City of El Paso, our mayor, Renard Johnson.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and I assure you this is a press conference that the Congresswoman didn't want to have at this point. But I do want to thank the Congresswoman, and I want to thank all the community partners for bringing us together. But we are here because no one in our city should have to wonder where their next meal is coming from. For many of us in this room, we woke up this morning without the additional worry or anxiety of where our next meal would come from. This is not the case for many El Pasoans. Imagine a mother and father with kids having to wake up not knowing how they're going to be able to feed their kids. This is unthinkable. Food insecurity doesn't always look like what people imagine it. It doesn't know color. It doesn't know politics. It affects working families, seniors, on fixed incomes, and even our students. Food insecurity in our region carries an estimated $745 million annual economic costs, which impacts the health, stability, and the future of our community. Here in El Paso, thousands of families face tough choices every single day. Groceries or rent, food or medication, The list goes on and on. Addressing hunger is not just a humanitarian issue. It's an economic one, like the Congresswoman just mentioned. When families are nourished, children can learn, workers can stay productive, and small businesses can benefit. A stronger, healthier community drives our local economy forward. The collaboration we see today between local government, faith leaders, nonprofits, and the private sector shows what's possible when we work together. The city of El Paso is working closely with our local food banks, organizations, churches, and schools to fill the gaps and ensure that no family goes hungry. Through elpasohelps.org and by calling our 211, residents can quickly find food, housing, and emergency resources. Our libraries and recreation centers are sharing this information and helping connect families to local food distribution centers. Solving hunger takes everyone's hands and hearts. As your mayor, I am committed to working with all of you to ensure that no one in El Paso goes hungry. Working together, we can build a city where every resident, regardless of zip code, background, or ethnicity, has a chance to thrive. Again, I want to thank the Congresswoman and everyone, all of our community partners that are here today, and we will get through this. And I assure you, like I said in the beginning, this was not a press conference that she wanted to call, but we cannot let anyone in this community go hungry. And I thank you for that, Congresswoman. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. David Stout, El Paso County Commissioner. I just want to start by saying this. You know, we're here. I'm here because we are living through a crisis in our community. We are dealing with a very sad reality at this point in time. And one of the most stark, I think, examples of that very sad reality is that while families in El Paso are trying to figure out how to put food on the table, the president of our country is demolishing the people's house and throwing parties. As our nation is facing the longest shutdown party with champagne, chandeliers, and gold decor for political elites. And so for me, there's really no clear picture of the divide that we see in our country where wealthy are toasting to themselves while working families are getting at line in food banks in our communities. As of November 1st, more than 42 million Americans have lost access to food assistance through SNAP and other programs. That means parents skipping meals to make sure that their kids can eat, and that seniors have to be choosing between medicine and groceries. That's not governance, that's cruelty. And here in El Paso, we're feeling it in real time. Our community is home to more than 22,000 federal civilian employees, people who inspect our food, process benefits, maintain our infrastructure, and protect our borders. And they have gone weeks without pay. Some are now having to visit the food banks that we're talking about to feed their own families. So think about that. The people who are serving our nation cannot afford to eat because of the arrogance and the greed of a few politicians. Working people in El Paso build this country every single day. We deserve leaders who have our backs, not ones who use our livelihoods as political bargaining chips. Because whether we're black, brown, white, immigrant, or lifelong El Pasoan, we all want the same thing: a fair shot, a good job, and the dignity of putting food on the table. And the cost to our community is staggering. We're seeing that El Paso stands to lose nearly $24 million a month in SNAP benefits. That's 24 million fewer dollars flowing to our groceries, our grocery stores, our local markets, and small businesses. That's $24 million taken straight out of the hands of families who need it the most. And the truth is, the local governments across Texas are now being forced to fill those blanks left by the federal government, doing more every day with less. El Pasans do not ask for handouts. We ask for fairness. for a government that respects the people who make this country run. Even as federal leaders play politics, counties like ours are finding ways to make sure that no one gets left behind. This week, I asked the Commissioners Court to take decisive action to protect our residents. We unanimously voted to explore every legal practical way to secure food aid for our families and directed our departments to find immediate ways to ease the local impact. We are calling on our state and federal partners, writing letters to the governor's office and our state delegation, asking them to use every tool available to combat food insecurity across Texas. They are sitting on billions of dollars in rainy day funds that could be used for something just like this. And we're taking care of our own. El Paso County is going to begin accepting donations from businesses, community partners, and residents to directly support families that are in need. We have extended our electric bill assistance program at the county through September 2026 because no one in this community should have to choose between putting food on their table and keeping the lights on. And we've been building on a long record of action through ARPA funds and CARES funds. The county provided millions of dollars to El Pasoans fighting hunger during COVID, and we continue to do that to support this organization. We also launched the Healthy Food Financing Initiative in 2018, the first county-level program of its kind in the nation to help small businesses like Bodega Loya and Desert Spoon Food Hub to bring healthy, affordable food to Pasoans. And that's what real leadership looks like, people. It's compassion, not corruption, service, not spectacle, unity, and not division. Because El Paso has always known its worth. We may not have the wealth of Washington, D.C., but we have the power of community, and that is something that no shutdown can take from us. So thank you again. Thank you, Congresswoman, for inviting us to join with you today. Thank you to all the organizations that are out here working day in, day out, making sure that we are taking care of our community. History is going to remember this moment. And it's going to remember who stood with the people and who threw parties while they starved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. I want to take this opportunity before I introduce our nonprofits, our NGOs, just some of them, because we have a number of NGOs, nonprofits in the community who are working hard to help fill the gaps, but who also have needs themselves and need support from all of us. I do want to once again remind folks about the resource page that we have, escobar.house.gov/resources. And I want to once again urge federal employees who are not receiving their paychecks to check out our webpage. We worked diligently the week before the shutdown to ensure every federal credit union was offering assistance and support to their members and would be open to new members. Some of our local credit unions are offering 0% interest loans. First Light Federal Credit Union is an example, and they are willing to take brand new members, and they are not doing credit checks. So if you are a federal employee, you can access money available at no interest at a number of our local credit unions, money that can be paid back once you are paid back by the federal government. I know there's a lot of distress because President Trump has said in no uncertain terms he does not want to pay every federal employee back. Make no mistake, you will be paid back. That is the law. The law is very clear. He signed that law. We passed that law in 2019. And if he violates the law, he will be taken to court. And the law is so clear that the court will quickly rule that he has to follow the law. So please, 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 I know there's a lot of noise from the White House and threats. Federal employees will receive their back pay. You can take out a zero-interest loan and pay back that loan once you get your back pay. No federal employee should have to live through the pain of having nothing in their bank account and having bills that they need to pay. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew about those resources available. We are now coming to the final component of our press conference, and we're going to hear directly from a handful of the folks who help feed El Pasoans, and they can tell you a little bit about the need that they're facing as we initiate this call to action to the community to continue to support one another. And we will begin with Chris Yeagle from El Pasoans Fighting.
Again, Chris Yeagle, El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank. Thank you, Congresswoman, for the invitation. If I could just encourage the leaders here for a moment. I believe we are dealers in hope, and there is no such time as this that we need more hope that I've been a part of in recent memory. The fight is a hard one, and it's a strong one, and it will be depleting, but I think we need to stand together and be 100% at all times for the people of El Paso. So my press guy, or whatever you want to call him, put together some talking points for me, and I had those in my mind. But standing up here, I changed them, and I know he's probably sweating through his T-shirt right now as he watches this, but I'm just going to speak more firmly from the heart. I was a soldier a time ago. I was a United States Army Military Police Captain right here at Fort Bliss, and our motto in the MP Corps was assist, protect, defend. And so I have a real disdain for injustice, and I am seeing injustice among the people of El Paso right now, especially the ones that aren't sure where their next meal is coming, the ones who can't put food on the table at all, the ones who are experiencing food insecurity for the first time. It really fires me up, to quote a soldier phrase. So at El Pasoans Fighting Hunger, what we've done is we have retooled the machine, so to speak. We weren't necessarily prepared for the scale of this event. However, I want to assure you that we're responding. My team is one of the best I've ever served with. They're working hard, diligently, and innovatively to find new funding methods, food sources, ways to put together emergency boxes. So let me cover that for a moment. In response to some requests from the community, especially in regards to federal employees not receiving their checks, food insecurity is on the rise, as you know. We've put together roughly 2,000 emergency boxes for those communities, or for those organizations in the community. We've delivered most of those, and we're working on more. We've purchased enough food thanks to some fortuitous timing with grants, and also from support of many of the leaders you see up here, to the tune of the amount where we can put together about 10,000 more emergency boxes. We're still ahead of this. I want to assure you that. We are also looking at different programs. We're learning from this as we go. We're responding in the moment, but we're learning how to prepare for a longer fight. Hopefully it's resolved quickly, but we'll be ready. Let me tell you how you can help. So George Bernard Shaw said the greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. And I believe that wholly. So we are not going to do this together, though my staff is great, and though we are the point of impact for food in the community, I believe we're not going to do it alone. We need you. First thing you can do is you can go to elpasoansfightinghunger.org. You can become a part of our donor family. You could use the funds to get food and to build resources and to get ahead and further ahead of the fight. You can also sign up to volunteer. We cannot put together 2,000 boxes and then some on our own. We're going to need the help from the community. Please come out and volunteer. Be a part of us for the day. It'll change your life. Get in the fight. We need you more now than ever. And if I can leave you with a closing thought, hunger is a formidable enemy. It has plagued the earth from the beginning of time, and it will surely be around until the end. But together, as El Pasoans fighting hunger, we will stand, we will take ground, and even in the end, this enemy will bleed. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Pearson. I'm the president and CEO of the El Paso Community Foundation. Thank you, Representative Escobar, for putting all of us together. I think it's so important that we stand together at this time. If one of us is suffering, we all suffer. That's the term that's defined by compassion. And if we don't move forward in our community with compassion, we are not a community. We are a group of people living and cohabitating, and that's not who we are. We had a shooting in 2019. This community came together and rose up and overcame the pain and overcame the loss of innocence. In 2020 through 22, we rose up and dealt with all of the effects of a global pandemic. And the foundation was there helping out the food bank, helping out nonprofits in the area. And so I'm just here to stand with you all. I'll tell you what we're doing right now. The foundation, I may be announcing it early, but we've approved a grant for $100,000 to El Paso and Fighting Hunger Food Bank. You'll get the announcement next week. We are also, we are a MasterCard vendor. The El Paso Community Debit Card will be provided to folks working with at Project Bravo, which ironically was set up by a former president, Lyndon Baines Johnson, in his war on poverty. And so we have identified about 4,000 clients of Project Bravo who already are in a system where we can provide them debit cards that we can reload if we have money coming in. We've raised about $75,000 in the last week in cash to load those cards and help out the first 1,000 people that we can do. We will continue to raise money and load those cards as long as this goes. And then I'm really proud of our staff. Tess Passero, who is one of our program officers, has been working with a company, a nonprofit called Greater Good Charities. And they have a partnership with the Mars Corporation. So today I learned that we will have 100 pallets of food and pet supplies and hygiene supplies being delivered to our new warehouses that we are occupying at the city of El Paso in partnership with them. And you'll be able to pick up some of those pet supplies and hygiene packages at food pantries and pet pantries around the city of El Paso at all the public libraries. So we're very excited to announce that. And we will also distribute to various nonprofits within the region the food that's being given to us from Mars Corporation, which is Uncle Ben's Rice and those kind of products. So a lot of things going on. We'll continue to keep our ears to the street and keep our sights on the future, and I really appreciate you putting this together.
Congresswoman, thank you. Thank you for putting this together, bringing us all together to fight hunger. I was going to speak from the heart, but you better be thankful I'm not, because I'd start crying. So today, our communities face a critical moment. As federal funding and resident benefits decline, nonprofits and local partners are navigating deep uncertainty, instability that threatens the programs that feeds our neighbors and sustains our local safety nets. At Desert Spoon and Spoonflower Grocery, the only nonprofit grocery store in El Paso, funded by our county commissioners, thank you. Our free sack lunches are an immediate response to hunger, ensuring no one goes without a meal today. At the same time, we continue to invest in long-term, community-based solutions that strengthen food security across the region, supporting local growers, expanding food access points, and promoting sustainable food systems. Our approach centers on deconsolidating the food system, bringing food production and distribution closer to the people that it serves. These efforts work together to reduce hunger and build resilience. Programs like Double Up Food Bucks, provided by the Sustainable Food Center in Austin, help families stretch their SNAP dollars further by matching every dollar spent on fresh fruits and vegetables, making healthy food more affordable while supporting local farmers. Produce prescription programs connect healthcare providers and patients, ensuring that nutritious food becomes part of preventive care, improving health outcomes while strengthening regional food economics. Through initiatives like Spoonflower Grocery, our region's nonprofit grocery store, we are creating equitable access to healthy foods and choice year-round. But to sustain and grow this work, greater community investment is needed. Investment in people, in local producers, and in the systems that keep our regions nourished. Our commitment is clear. We will not allow funding uncertainties to become food uncertainties. Through collaboration, innovation, and shared responsibility, we can ensure that every resident has access to nourishment and the opportunity to thrive. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Amber Perez. I am the Executive Director of Borderland Rainbow Center. You may ask yourself why the Executive Director of a queer organization stands here as we talk about food insecurity, as we talk about these incredibly terrible things. And the reason is because Borderland Rainbow Center partners with El Pasoans Fighting Hunger. We have a food pantry. We are one of the top 6 partners with El Pasoans Fighting Hunger. I want to really kind of stress that we moved over 1.3 million pounds of food in 2023. We are a queer organization who serves the most marginalized and vulnerable parts of our community. We are members of one of the most marginalized and vulnerable parts of our community, and we give. We give with everything it is that we have. We understand what it is to not know, and we make sure that we find a place for you at our center. Right now, our pantry is empty, as are so many in this city and in this county. What I am asking from you today are 3 different things. One is to please donate. Please donate your time. Please donate cash if you have it. Please donate canned goods. Please donate your social media, share, because there are different ways of volunteering. There are different ways of donating. Know that just because you don't have money, just because maybe you don't have that extra can of food, doesn't mean that you can't do something. Elevating people's calls for help, elevating those resources that like the Congresswoman has put together is incredibly important. Reaching out to your neighbors and making sure that they are okay. And if they're not, helping them in these moments, even if it means just holding space, because that is incredibly important. Now, as I stand up here with different leaders in the community, it has struck me that not only are these leaders, but we are all servants as well. And that is something that we are trying to do. We are trying to serve. These days continue. Like has been said before us, you are not alone. And I want to speak to 2 different demographics in this moment. One, El Pasoans who have something to give. El Pasoans who, regardless of where you stand on the political side, where you stand on a religious side, understand that it is not right for people to go hungry. Whether you are a child, whether you are elderly, whether you are working, young professional, whether you are a federal employee, it is not okay for you to go hungry. On a more serious note on this as well, I want to speak to those of you who are suffering. To those of you who do not know where your next meal will come from. And I want you to know that standing up here is not just a representation of servants and leaders, but also somebody who has suffered through that as well. I am one of those people as a child who did not know where my next meal was coming from. Know that you are not alone. Know right now that there are people who are looking out for you. Know that this is nothing to be ashamed of. Know that it does get better, that there is an entire community here for you. And to those of you in El Paso, I will say, we have always come together as one. And today I ask you to give, 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 because that is what we know how to do. Thank you.
Well, in closing, I want to thank these inspiring and inspired leaders in the community. I want to stress the unity that you see, unity of purpose and unity of commitment. And honestly, as we were planning this press conference, we could have had hundreds of El Paso organizations and leaders and businesses and restaurant owners, you name it, who have stepped up as they always do in this moment of crisis to support other El Pasoans. This is but a sampling of the incredible organizations that need your help, but who are also helping in this moment of crisis. We will get through this. My district director just showed me a tweet. The court that instructed the administration to release the funds is pretty upset that the administration has not released the full funds and is ordering the administration to release the full funds available to SNAP recipients. And this is why I tell federal employees who've said they are afraid of taking out a zero-interest loan because they're afraid they will not get paid back. We are fighting all of these unlawful orders in the court, and we are winning. So please, please, to our federal employees, seek out our resource page, call our office, 915-541-1400. We can walk you through the many options that we have available to you. As Amber mentioned, if all you can do is uplift the work that is going on or connect someone you love to the services, please do so. We've been through a lot worse as a community. We likely will be through a lot worse as life goes up and down, but we are a united, resilient, loving, and caring community. And as Pastor Tim mentioned, you are not alone. We are all standing together to help support. Thank you all. This concludes our press conference. And folks will be available for one-on-ones. Thank you.